I think for sure, I think, anytime you're in practice or you're in scrimmages, it's totally different than the game. So I think this team needed to get some game reps, get out there and compete with each other. And certainly we've hit a good stride here. We kind of knew all along it'd take a little bit of time. It did last year as well. Our schedule this year was obviously a lot tougher early. So, we've settled down. I think guys are starting to understand their role, playing good basketball, got good chemistry. So we just got to keep getting better.
Vicky mentioned that like one of the keys to you guys has kind of been just better defense the last two games, and that's kind of played a big role. Like, in addition to that, is there something else that you feel like has been kind of clicking for you guys these last two games?
Yeah, I think definitely Ziggy's right. I think we're as good as defensive team as anybody out there. That's been kind of our calling card, switching up our defenses, playing man, playing zone. The big thing we got to get better at is our transition D. Got to continue to load to the ball, get the ball stopped. Got to win the turnover battle, right? We got to create turnovers, get out and run. I think early we shot a bit too many threes, right? So we get steals, we get transition, and we're really shooting a ton of threes. Now we're running for layups. I think that's been a big difference.
Now that you're kind of seeing like what you envisioned as this team's potential, kind of just finally starting to shine through. What do you think has been kind of the biggest change that you've seen in them, whether it be on the court, off the court?
Yeah, I think they're more connected on and off the court. When you're away from Youngstown for quite a bit, as we were, we spent a lot of time with each other, right? Whether it's in the hotel, walkthroughs, different venues, right? It's kind of, the 15 players and the coaches and the managers. Really, it's about it. That's kind of the neat thing about sports. You really build that camaraderie with your road trips, and this team has been all over the place. I think we did 18 or 20 hours on a bus last week. Those are the things that I think go a little bit unnoticed to the media, to the fans, and maybe even sometimes the parents. We spend a lot of time with each other. And as you spend time with each other, you get to know each other a little bit more, whether that's your coach, whether it's your teammate, whether it's a manager. Jamie and Rob, certainly a big part of it. Emily, our trainer. Just getting comfortable with each other. And I think that's what happens now when you have so many new players. You have to get that time together. I would just say we're in sync, right? There's that cohesiveness off the court, which is translating to on the court.
Jerrod, you may have touched on this earlier. 4 non-D1. Why again did you have to schedule those?
Yeah, well, number one, Dana, we scheduled Niagara in our multi-team event. So Niagara was scheduled to come in here way back when. We got a call from Niagara probably, I don't know, a couple months back, and really put us in scramble mode that both ourselves and them had no idea that they could not play in a multi-team event against the same team at the same venue only once every 4 years. So we filed a waiver with the NCAA to try to get that overturned, to say, hey, based on the travel from Niagara to Youngstown finances, this game kind of makes sense for our tournament. That was turned down. So then we had to jump in the Lake Erie tournament. And then in the meantime, after that, Western Illinois was scheduled to play here. So really this game here with Bethany is really supposed to be Western Illinois. So we owe a lot of credit to Bethany playing this game. Their staff has been to our practices. They've been to our summer camps. Their best player is my uncle's son, my cousin, Cole Daly. You'll see him here tomorrow. He's getting about 16 and 7. He played at East Liverpool. So we were in total panic mode to try to get our schedule done. So that's why we ended up with 2 extra non-Division I games. I like where it fell with finals, Dana, because, this is a really chaotic week. We've just been on the road. How many straight games? These games do not affect your numbers, right? So they don't affect your net numbers. They don't really count in that regard. So it's not going to hurt our overall net numbers. Right now, I think we're 105. We're second in the conference behind Fort Wayne. So I think a lot of things align to play this game.
So it was more of a
Yeah, it was.
Not to blame anybody.
Yeah, no. It was a scheduling, error, I would say, on our part, and Niagara's part, not to understand that rule. And then Western Illinois got big money, and they pretty much paid us $25,000 to not play the game, right? So in each contract, there's a buyout. They basically notified us that, hey, we're going to go in a different direction. So we were really scrambling, to say the least.
What do you hope to see, in these next two games? Because obviously,
Yeah, everybody always says that. Rob just asked me the same thing. You're playing a different opponent, right? A different level. I don't really look at it any different. We prepare the same. We have to have a little better mindset, I think, heading into these games. Early in the year, we played two of them. I didn't think we played very well. So to me, it starts with your mindset. Understand you only get so many games at home. So to play in the Beagley Center and play in front of our fans, I always say, we have to have a little bit of pride in that, create that home court advantage, and play well in your home court. And, we've had a busy couple weeks with a lot of road games. So let's settle in, have good practices. We gave them 2 days off after Western, and then 2-day prep for Bethany. So we'll take off Friday. We'll have 2-day prep for Westminster, and then we finish with Navy next Thursday. So you're in a 3-game homestand. So I think urgency, execution, playing the right way, and play good basketball.
just to have Navy come here. I mean, the Army-Navy game was last week. There's a lot of people who look at the military as, what's going on in the world. So just that, bring that program in here. What's that kind of mean?
Well, we went to their tournament last year at Navy. First and foremost, Ed DeShillis is a fabulous coach. He's had a lot of success as a head coach. He was at East Tennessee State. He was at Penn State as the head coach. He's at Navy. We learned so much last year when we were on that base. Just their day-to-day, what those kids go through every day, waking up and serving our country. There's nothing like it, right? It's incredible. Not only them, but Army and Air Force. So have a great deal of respect for the military schools. And we understand them coming here with so many people in our area that may have served in the Navy. We're expecting a really good crowd. So when Ed and I talked about this in scheduling, hey, we'll come to your tournament. They'll return the game. I think it's a win-win for both schools. But they're a team that when they travel, they haven't had the success this year. But traditionally, what he's told me is when they travel, they're really good on the road. I know the year before they were tremendous because they're getting up at 5:30 in the morning. So now those kids are away. They're in a little bit of different routine. So we'll certainly have to be ready for that game as well. But I think it's a big deal, personally. I do.
Jerrod, with any game this season, it seems that any player is liable for a big night. He's coming off with 25 games, going to Rush has had some good games, but maybe they're going to etc. It seems like any given night it could be anyone. How do you feel like you guys have been able to cultivate that anybody is capable of that kind of?
Yeah, I constantly try to show them things that are out there from great players. Today I'll show them something on Jason Tatum said last night after beating the Cavs. That you basically, sports are the ultimate sacrifice. So we have a lot of guys from a lot of different teams that may have had bigger roles last year, but they're not seven. They weren't 7-3. And I think that's part of the transfer portal world, that as a coaching staff and as a program, number one, you have to play to a standard. What is your standard? What does that look like? And then you also have to have a philosophy offensively, we over me. And I think our guys have certainly bought into that. Any given night, we've got one of 7 guys, I think, Neil, that can certainly go get 15 to 20 points. I don't think it's just those 4 guys. I think we're still kind of, waiting to see EJ do that or JB do that. And these guys have bought into that. Last year's group bought into that. We're still not where we need to be offensively. We're averaging 76 I think we should be close to the same as last year. I think last year was 83 a game. We're certainly defending really good. We're holding teams under 70 and that sort of thing. But you have to constantly talk about those things in your meeting, and the way you play the game is just reading the defense, right? So if you have a balanced attack, we're going to go into a game and try to attack certain mismatches, whether that's a pick and roll, whether it's in the post or off-ball screening. But throughout a game of basketball, there's so many possessions. You just have to read what the defense is doing, react. And then we have some guys that are different. You know, Ziggy can shoot threes. Ziggy can post. DJ can handle the ball. He can post. He can shoot threes. We have a 7'3" guy that nobody at this level has that. We have a guy in Brandon Rush that can go score the ball like that. We have versatility off the bench with JB and I-Man and EJ Farmer. We have steadiness with the point guard with Brett and Bryson. So we got a good combination of a little bit of everything. And I think that's why this group can continue to get better. I don't think we're really near where we need to be. So who we're playing, to me, gives you a chance to get better. I look at our team as, you know, we're getting there. Certainly we're, you know, could have a chance to, you know, have a really good start here, right? Knock on wood. You know, Ziggy's going to be out tomorrow. Just to let you guys know, he has a sprained ankle. So you got to have some luck with the injuries and that sort of thing. But our depth is really, I think, the best part about this team. You know, like our practices, if you come to our practices, the depth from 1 to 10 is really good. You know, our freshmen are really good too, that nobody's even talked about because they're not out there playing yet. You know, they'll play next year. So we've got 3 really good freshmen too.
How much fear do you stress? I mean, the next couple of weeks schedule are going to just be because of the holidays, and then it's, you know, it's full go after this. How much do you said the players had a couple of days off. How much do you stress these guys, say, when you're away, relax, and, you know, because the stretch,
Yeah.
you know, once you begin in January, it's pretty much.
Yeah, basketball's different, Dana, right? It's, you know, football, what is it, 13-week season or whatever it is. They play 12 games. They get 1 off week. You know, ours is a grind. Ours is from November, hopefully to mid-March, right? You're looking at a long season. So I think strategically, we have a system that we purchased. It's about $10,000. It's called Connexon. So you'll see in each one of our players' pants, right, it hooks on the top of their hip. We have a tracking device, so we can track after every game. We're one of 3 schools in our conference that purchased this. So I know how many miles they've run throughout that game. Practice, I know their workloads. We meet probably 3 times a week on where we're progressing with our practices, how we're structuring those things from drill work. And I'm very cognizant of that. I think you have to be very, very careful as a coach in college basketball to overdoing it with the burnout piece, but just the wear and tear of their bodies. You know, we're constantly tracking what they're eating, constantly tracking their diet, where their weights are, make sure we're managing those sorts of things. But, you know, I would say analytics has certainly changed my thinking as a coach. The tracking device, this Connexon, really intrigues my mind. It gets me thinking a lot as a coach, and I think it's helped me. And then just talking to the players. You know, you constantly got to talk to your players. How are you feeling? Not only with their body, but mentally, right? Because it's a wear and tear. It's a long season. So we just want to be keeping fresh. Today will be, you know, by the time we get started, Dana, probably 70 minutes tops, you know. And when I say bone-on-bone contact, that means a 5-on-5, a 4-on-4, a 3-on-3, probably about 40 minutes. So half of that time is kind of, you know, with no defense.
So they wear these devices
Mm-hmm.
in games?
Yeah. It's, you know, the NBA has them. The NFL has them. You know, I kind of learned a little bit about it through my buddy with the Boston Celtics. They all have them in the NBA. I'm sure every team, you know, they have scientists that track everything, that basically travel with the team. But, you know, our strength coach does all that. So it's pretty neat. And I think you have to invest in winning, right? So one thing that I do with my fundraising, I invest in the analytical side, I invest in their nutrition side, and certainly invest in this device. So I think that we have a very holistic approach. We have a massage therapist that travels with us now that I, you know, fundraise for that too. So I think we do some things that kind of, take care of our guys, and I think it helps us.